Hi everyone, I'm Erin.
Hi, I'm Kim.
And we're going to elaborate a little bit on room positioning for healthcare interpreters who work in on-site situations. So if you've been in healthcare interpreting for more than an appointment or two, you know how important room positioning is and how challenging it sometimes can be. So Kim and I were just talking a little bit about situations we've encountered, and so thought we would share those situations with you and then invite you to share some of your challenges for room positioning and how you've gotten through or over them. So Kim, let's hear about your situation.
So one that was particularly difficult for me was an interventional radiology appointment. I happened to be quite pregnant at the time, and so for safety reasons, I couldn't be actually in the room with the patient wearing the typical vest that you would. They put me in the control booth, so there was a solid wall in between me and the patient. There was obviously a speaker system, audio system to be able to communicate with the patient, but she ended up having kind of a cloth over her face just to, keep things calm and relaxed. So it was really an extra challenge because you were already speaking through an audio system, and then also something else, in the way of regular conversation. So basically to get through, I just had to continue asking the patient over and over if I wasn't sure about something. I didn't want to take any guesses. This was in the middle of a procedure, and I wanted to be sure, so I just repeat until we got the correct answers for everyone. You always need to be worried about accuracy. So everything worked out well, and just another experience for next time.
So worried about accuracy, but also concerned and prioritizing interpreter safety. So thank you for sharing that situation and how to kind of keep in mind what we're there for, but then not jeopardizing our safety as well. So
yeah,
I had a situation where I had the patient and the provider. They were kind of, patient provider was sitting, I was seating, and it was kind of like that triangular formation. And for whatever reason, at some point, the patient and the provider also kind of got up, and I had these two very tall, towering males like hovering over me, and I felt so small and kind of awkward and a little bit out of place, and I knew that was not the ideal positioning, but I think I was the only one in the room who cared about that. So I just kind of, kept the flow and kept interpreting while they towered over me and kept on doing their thing, and it was actually kind of neat because it was a reassurance to me that they were focusing on each other and not really caring about me as the interpreter. And I was able to continue doing the job and what I was there to do, even though I was rather uncomfortable with having these figures towering above me. So that also gave me some sensitivity to what others might be feeling when I'm maybe towering over them, or maybe my positioning is a little bit too close, and not being, trying to be a bit more mindful and not oblivious to my positioning's impact on others. So speaking of which, sharing one other situation or story. It happened to be a patient who was accompanied by her husband and a technologist who was doing ultrasound and another interpreter who was new and shadowing me at the encounter. So this patient needed to have a transvaginal ultrasound, so at the appropriate time everybody left the room so that the patient could change. And then we all, were coming back into the room. All of us were following the technologist who led the way, and so as soon as we got into the room, she says, "Okay, now lay back and put your feet up." Well, we're all still coming into the room, and we're all then at the foot of the bed while the technologist has given this instruction to the patient. So the first thing that we think of doing as interpreters, somebody talks, you interpret. So in this case, I'm like, wait a second, this room positioning is not going to work out because I didn't want to interpret right away and have the patient feel obligated while we're all standing there at the foot of the bed to lay back and put her feet up in that obviously inappropriate positioning that we had. So did a little bit of an interpreter timeout. Asked the technologist if we could just pause for a moment before proceeding so we could get everybody situated. Had the interpreter who was shadowing me go way over to the other side of the room because she didn't need to really be engaged with anything. She was just observing the encounter. I had asked the husband if I could sit up towards the head of the bed where he otherwise ideally would have been, but I wanted to kind of position where I would be able to hear and be heard and not be in a place where the patient might feel awkward about what I might or might not have been seeing and still be engaged with me as the interpreter. And then the husband sat in the chair that was kind of next to me as well. And then please lay back and put your feet up in the stirrups. So then interpret. So there's a lot of different situations that we encounter when we're interpreting language-wise, and we'll talk about some of those tricky phrases and tricky terminology as well, but we thought we would start out with some room positioning, which is a very real challenge for interpreters.
Yeah, so if you've got any situations that you've been in where positioning has been a challenge, please let us know, share some comments, share the video, and if this was helpful for you, then please subscribe.
Looking forward to hearing from you soon.